So, you hear about a massive luxury resort being built on public land, and it's all being hailed as this landmark investment. But what's really going on behind the scenes? Well, today, we're going to break down the story behind the controversial handover of land at Umiam Lake. Right off the bat, this is the question we have to keep in our minds. It's not just about handing over land, is it? We need to think about all the other things that might be bundled in that deal. I mean, things like tax breaks, water rights, maybe even a monopoly. This one question, it just completely reframes the entire conversation. Okay, so let's start with the official story. The government makes a big announcement, right? They formally handed over this prime piece of public land for a brand new Taj resort. And it's presented as this huge win, a game changer for the region's tourism. 330 crore rupees. That's the estimated price tag for this new luxury resort, the Taj Umiam. It's a pretty big number, and it's designed to signal, this high-end transformative project coming to the area. But hang on, that's not the whole picture. Not even close. You have to zoom out a little. This resort, it's just one piece of a much, much larger puzzle. We're talking about a nearly 4,000 crore rupee tourism push from the chief minister. That just shows you the incredible scale of public money and ambition riding on projects just like this one. And for Umiam specifically, there's a whole vision. The plan is to create this low-density, high-end tourism hub, and they're saying it'll have a major focus on being ecologically sustainable. With over 500 crore rupees set aside just for this area, it's pretty clear this new Taj resort is meant to be the crown jewel of the whole thing. Look, on the surface, it all sounds fantastic. High-end resort, big investment, tourism boost. But this is where we have to pause and ask that critical question. When a public asset, something that belongs to everyone, is used for a private company's profit, what's the real price we all pay? And that leads us straight to the core tension in this entire deal. Is this really a public investment that's going to pay dividends for the community? Or is it actually a hidden subsidy for a private corporation? This is where it gets really serious, because a lack of transparency changes everything. If the public doesn't know the full terms, how long is the lease, what's the revenue share, what protections are there for the public, then that word investment starts to feel a little hollow. It can quietly morph into a backdoor subsidy that we, the citizens, are paying for without ever even knowing it. Yeah, this slide really lays it out perfectly. You've got two competing stories here. On one side, the official narrative, a proud government announcing a landmark investment. But on the other side, you've got the critical question we should all be asking. Is the public unknowingly footing the bill for a private company? The real answer is buried in the details of a deal that, isn't public. Now, to really get why this all matters so much, we have to talk about a concept called commons governance. It's actually a simple but powerful idea. It's the principle that our shared public resources, our land, our lakes, our forests, should be managed for the long-term benefit of everyone in the community, not just a few. It's about being good stewards of what we all own together. And once you start thinking in terms of commons governance, it kind of forces you to step back and reconsider the whole conversation. Are we as citizens even asking the right questions about a deal like this one at Umiam? Let's dig into what those questions ought to be. The analysis here suggests that the public debate often gets completely sidetracked. We end up talking about things like branding or prestige when we really need to be focused on governance, on accountability, and what the public actually gets in return for its assets. This is the question you hear all the time, right? Hey, will a famous brand like Taj make our state look good? Is it going to attract more tourists? It's a very surface-level debate that's all about perception. But here's the question we should be asking. Forget about branding for a second. What actual, concrete, legally binding safeguards are written into the contract to make sure the public gets real, measurable returns for giving up this incredibly valuable piece of land? So what do we even mean by measurable returns? Well, they're not just vague promises. We're talking about tangible things. Guaranteed jobs for local people. Clauses that require the resort to buy supplies from local businesses. Strict, verifiable environmental protections. And, of course, a fair revenue sharing agreement. Okay, so if we know the right question to ask, the next logical step is, how do we find the answers? How can a regular person actually hold a massive project like this accountable? And this is where things get really powerful, because this analysis doesn't just point out the problems. It actually gives us a clear, actionable framework for how citizens can demand that accountability. Here it is. It's basically a 3-step checklist for citizens.
First, get a copy of the actual lease agreement and read the fine print. Check the term, the price, all the conditions. Second, add up all the public money being spent on infrastructure that directly benefits this private resort: roads, water, power. And third, demand to see the clauses in that deed that guarantee public benefits, like hiring local people.
Because at the end of the day, this isn't about opinions or politics. It's about what is written down in black and white in the legal agreements. The proof and the public's only real protection is in the documents. We just have to have the courage to demand to see them. So look, this whole story is about Umiam Lake, but the questions it raises, they're universal. Every town, every city, every state has public land. And that leaves us with one final big question that you can ask about your own community. Who is that land really working for?